Welcome to a Starter and a Chaser podcast with your hosts, Joe Clarke and Jon Passow.
Where do you think squirrels go when there's a hurricane?
Hey, welcome to a Starter and a Chaser podcast, where every week we review one whiskey and one beer. I'm Professional Brewer Jon Passow.
I'm Whiskey Connoisseur Joe Clarke.
And for this week's episode, we have something old and something very old.
So we have a Jim Beam Decanter, porcelain decanter, 1981, 1982.
With the tax stamp still intact.
Unopened.
And for the Chaser, we have a 2018 vintage of Great Lakes Brewing Company Bourbon Barrel-Aged Blackout Stout. But first, the starter.
I'm excited for this. I'm just saying that for both of these here. This is going to be an incredible show on our palates. The starter here is a Jim Beam Decanter, a porcelain decanter, and this is from era 1981. It says 1981, I believe, on the bottom.
On the bottle. And if you ever get a vintage bottle, one of the tricks you can do to determine what year it was produced, check on the bottom of the bottle, and a lot of the times it's got a number, and this one has 81.
It does have 81.
And that generally tells you when the bottle itself was made, and usually it's within a year of that date as when the liquid was put in there. This was donated by a good friend of ours, Richard Douglas. Thanks so much, Richard.
Look at that.
And this was from Jim Beam, you said, right?
Yeah, it's a 10-year-old Jim Beam product, it looks like, John. This is the first time we're really looking at this in person. It's an 80 proof. It's a 750 milliliter bottle. And it also has the original box here, too. And it looks like this is like a wildlife art series from, I'm not big into art, but John Lockhart on the back there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll read a little bit of that just to kind of give everybody a synopsis of the bottle.
If you want.
So, John Lockhart is one of America's best known wildlife artists because Lockhart knows the habits of the wildlife he paints. His paintings are noted for accuracy and careful attention to detail. And I'll show it again. You can kind of see the painting up there.
So there's 3 different paintings that came on the front of this to publicize his artwork. This is the pintail, is it?
Yes.
There's pintail, the elk, and the horned owl.
Let you guys see that.
And finding these old promo decanters is a really cool pastime for a lot of people, and there is a concern with these that the glaze that they used on the outside and the inside of the bottle contained lead. Sometimes that's the case, sometimes not, and upon my research, it showed that most of that was during the 70s. So since this is an 81 or an 82, we should be fine with the lead. Joe, would you like to do the honors and crack that open?
I would. So this tax seal hasn't been broken.
Nope. We're going to break it right now. Oh, fresh crack.
I'm scared. I hope the cork doesn't break. Should I wet the cork?
Just go for it. Slow.
Is this?
It's a screw
awesome.
cap?
It's a screw cap.
Oh,
we don't have
sweet.
to worry about breaking the cork.
I'm glad we didn't yank that thing.
Look, it's plastic screw cap on the inside.
Wow.
Wow.
And it's a plastic cap, too.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Okay, interesting. Just want to give Let's see here.
Right.
That. Good. Yeah. It's you.
We usually have our whiskeys pre-poured, but because this is such a special bottle and we wanted to show it off intact, we didn't pre-pour. So bear with us now.
Yeah, so we're gonna, it looks good. Make sure I got a even pour there. Yeah, we're good. All right, good. All right, man, we're right on there. So there we go. We broke the tax stamp. The bottle is open.
Seal has been broken.
It has. Maybe I'll pop this bad boy back in the box.
Yeah, just leave it out.
Just leave it out.
Yeah, show it off. Look at that beautiful
Look at that thing.
Beautiful bottle. Color on this, you know.
So this is 80 proof again, and everybody knows Jim Beam products. We've done them in the past, and wow, man. All right, so before I even get to that, it's just really filling up the room.
Really? It's aromatic?
It's very powerful,
cool.
very aromatic, actually. That's kind of used to seeing.
An orange.
Smelling.
A lot of orange to this.
Yeah, it does.
And it almost looks kind of like, it's got some age almost on the color.
Yeah. Remember, this is a 10-year-old Jim Beam
It
too,
is a
so
10-year.
that's really interesting.
On top of however, almost 40 years that it's been in the
Will it be
decanter.
good?
Will it be good? That is the question.
We're
It's
not
got
sure.
some legs though.
It does. Look how it coats the glass. It's nice and thick, man. It's
Yeah. And this was 80 proof? Or
This
yes,
is 80 proof, yeah.
Okay. All right. What are you getting on the nose? Now, usually when Joe says things fill the room, it's been for mostly the higher price.
It could be rotten that fills the room.
That's true. But it's been mostly the higher price bottles, like your, George T. Stagg, your Stagg Jr. So to have a Jim Beam product do that is
Not only
really
that, but this
fascinating
old.
for me. Yeah.
This old, and the fear is when people buy these decanter bottles, the juice is bad. They didn't focus on putting the best juice out there, but according, today a 10-year-old Jim Beam product would probably be really good to have. But, back then bourbon wasn't in such a heavy swing and boom as it is now.
Yeah.
So what they produced a lot of times back then was a lot of people argue that it's a better product because they could afford to do that.
Yeah,
And
they weren't mass producing as they do nowadays.
I'm not smelling anything rotten because that's what people fear with this. Was it stored properly? Was it stored on its side if it had a cork? This doesn't have a cork, so we don't have to worry about it. That's actually very cool.
Yeah.
That was my main concern, was breaking the cork. So,
and for those that are storing whiskey, do not store your whiskey on the side because the alcohol actually eats the cork away.
yes, and don't
It's
store
not
it in
like
the sun.
wine. Yeah, don't store it in the sun, trunk of your car,
Really vanilla bomb on this one.
So
Big
a
time.
lot of barrel notes then probably.
You get a lot of the wood barrel notes on this one, big time, and it's very, almost reminded me of another product we did at Jim Beam's, very splintery. I think we're going to get that kind of chewing on the barrel thing going on there.
Which she's referring to the Granddad Bottle and Bond.
Very charred.
Which you can find the link to that episode underneath.
I don't get any sense of this being spoiled at all, so that's good because it's not.
So vanilla, wood,
some citrus notes.
Citrus.
Yeah, that's all I'm pulling out of it. It's not super complex, this one.
Okay.
But it's very powerful. It's not light scent, so.
Shall we dive in?
We should, yes. All right, so let's take care of this. Wow. That is good.
It's got some heat.
Yeah. But it's really good. It's incredibly good.
Huh.
So in the background here, somebody else is actually grabbing a sample pour of it. It's actually Richard, just to let you guys know.
Yeah,
he's
Richard.
not on camera.
Richard.
He kind of
He's like
creeped over
trying
here.
to creep in.
I was trying to.
Sorry about that.
So he's here to, share this experience, just the
with
drinking
us.
experience.
First,
with us,
first
so.
time for him. I get a lot of that orange, that citrus that you were talking about on the nose.
Big time.
Comes right up front. For being in a decanter for 40 years and being a 10-year-old product, it's bright. I would expect this to have a lot of age notes, but it tastes really fresh.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, like we just picked it up yesterday and cracked the bottle open.
Yeah.
Which he actually just picked it up. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Man, this is...
I'm shocked. I was actually worried about doing this episode and fresh cracking something like this on it, thinking, well, how short will this episode be if we open it and it's spoiled? Then I guess we'll move on to the beer.
Much, but that's not the case here.
But I'm picking something else up. You get a lot of vanilla, a lot of the citrus, almost kind of getting a lemony kind of taste out of this one, dude.
See, for my palate, it's more orange.
Oh, there is orange, definitely, but I'm getting something else on there with that orange. I'm getting a lemony kind of finish to it.
I'm getting the wood now. It's very much on the finish. Little char.
Not like the old Granddad.
Not like the old Granddad. No. Old Granddad Bottle and Bond is just heavy oak.
Yeah.
Splintery even, but this is not. This is soft.
This is very hot for 80 proof.
Yes.
It stays with you actually the entire time we've been talking about this. Like when I breathe in, it goes into the lungs.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of that Kentucky hug for me, but not full blown like a lot of the other ones, but it's definitely hot.
Yeah, it's hot for 80 proof. It is definitely. And like we were saying before, these decanters, they just kind of more so, it was an art piece rather than the juice inside. But I'll tell you what, I'll take the art piece with this juice inside because this is really good. And I'm glad we got to try something like this. This is incredible.
Thank you so much for the donation, Richard. And by the way, if you have a bottle you'd like to donate, shoot us an email at whiskeyandbeer@starterandchaser.com, which is also our website. If you've ever had a decanter, share your experience in the comments below. We'd like to hear what you've
share some pictures.
Yeah, heck. Man, this is a shocking product for me because I didn't know what to expect. I mean, Joe, you said
I expected
a lot
the worst,
of people say it's terrible, but this is surprisingly good. What an experience.
Yeah, I think whoever had this and stored it, they did well.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back in a couple minutes with the Chaser, and while we take our break here, be sure to hit subscribe. Give us a like, and
that's it. See you guys in a few minutes, or a flash of a light. Welcome back, guys. Now we're on to the Chaser. What do we got, John?
We have from Great Lakes Brewing Company their bourbon barrel-aged blackout stout. Now this is special because it is a cellared version. This is from 2018. It was donated to us by Eric Black, one of our faithful viewers. Thank you very much, Eric. Now, Great Lakes Brewing Company is based out of Cleveland, Ohio. They were started in 1988 by the Conway brothers. And cool bit of history, they are Ohio's first microbrewery and brew pub. Now,
that's really cool.
The base recipe for this beer is their regular blackout stout, which was created and named after the 2003 blackout that happened on the Midwest East Coast, and it left 55 million people without power. So they created a beer. Yeah,
that's incredible.
I was living in LA at the time that happened, and it was actually on the news, and I was watching it from LA. I was like, oh, Cleveland, I know that. So this is their barrel-aged version. This has spent about 9.5 months in Buffalo Trace barrels.
Oh, no doubt.
This vintage. And this bottle is bottle number 1184.
Wow.
10.5% ABV, 50 IBUs, and it's a Russian Imperial Stout. So let's crack this bad boy open, Joe.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to taste this. You said Buffalo Trace barrels. I'm good.
You said sign me up?
Sign me up, man.
All right. So let me get a little pour in here.
Yes, sir.
All right.
This.
Nice. Not as thick as some of the other ones that we've poured on the show.
I was going to say that. Versus the other stouts, it kind of pours a little light there.
Doesn't have the syrps, as Joe calls it. Syrupy stout. But
syrps.
Nice dark color. Good off-white head. Not any sediment in the bottle, so they did a good job of filtering it.
Now, a question for you. The filtering, you know, in the past I had said something about sediment being, and you didn't let me have some, even I wanted to try it. Is that a good or bad thing? Is that just preference?
It's not really a good or bad thing. Okay. It can be a personal preference whether you want the sediment in your beer. A lot of times with Belgian beers, you do want, a lot of people like that because they feel like it adds to the character of the beer. Personally, I like to leave it behind because a lot of the times it can add a yeasty note to the beer and change the mouthfeel. So I really want to just get the beer itself. Whether or not a beer has sediment can vary from whether it was filtered, their production methods, or even just time. Certain things will drop out of suspension over the years and will create a fine layer of sediment no matter how well they've been filtered. Okay. So it's a good question, but it's kind of a here nor there sort of thing, personal preference.
Yeah.
So this one, off-tan head.
Wow.
And as the name suggests, it's like blackout curtains. It's dark. It is dark. What are you smelling?
I get a hoppy note to this one too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's only 50 IBUs, so it's not super hoppy, but
it comes across on the nose.
They can add aromatic hops during brewing, which won't actually bump up the IBUs that much. So,
wow. Kind of, the familiar chocolatey note, a little bit of a malty smell to it.
Okay.
Being it's a little hoppy, I'm pulling a little citrus to it through the nose also.
Okay.
Not getting any like coffee smells I usually get on it. I know it's not coffee stout, but something with the darker ones, you kind of get that aroma to it.
Mm-hmm.
Little chocolatey.
Okay.
Yeah, let's dig in, man.
Prost.
All right. Wow.
I didn't even swallow, and that was like, holy cow. Got that nice kind of Russian Imperial maltiness up front, that sweet malt, and then it went right into the bourbon barrel. And it is distinctively Buffalo Trace. I mean,
that is a very bourbony taste to it.
But it's not hot. Sometimes with these barrel-aged beers, it can get hot. It can be like overwhelmingly bourbon in a very unbalanced way. This is balanced.
Oh yeah.
That malt and the roast, and then the bourbon in there, and you can tell it's been aged a little bit because it's not in your face with a lot of the flavors.
Wow.
It's well integrated.
Yeah, it is. So I get some of the barrel notes on there from. You definitely get the hint of that bourbonish kind of taste to it. A familiar taste of Buffalo Trace kind of thing going on to it.
You always say Buffalo Trace has a very distinct stone fruit note.
Yeah,
and I get that.
On this. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's about mid palate for me on this actually.
Same
Surprisingly, a lot of the barrel finish stuff, I start picking that stuff on the back end. Mm-hmm. This is actually, I don't know, kind of carries through, to be honest with you. Oh yeah. This is really good. It's almost hard to explain this. This is really complex. This is probably one of the more complex beers I've had, to be honest with you. There's a lot going on with this.
It's deep. It's got a long finish. You're right. It is very complex.
The hops do not transfer on the palate for me at all. I don't get any of that bitterness or anything like that.
Yeah.
No.
I do get the roasted malts, but not the hops. This usually, when it's new, it retails for around $18, and it's a brewery exclusive, so you have to go to the brewery. And I would say this is absolutely worth the price.
Yeah, the more I drink this, John, I'm actually picking a lot more of the barrel notes up, a lot more of the bourbon taste to it, but also very malty. It is getting very malty on the back end. Yeah, when it finishes, kind of a caramely malt to it, really.
I could see that. I get a little bit of an undercurrent of that caramel or caramel, whichever you would prefer. Tomato, potato, duct tape.
Yeah.
God, I can't get over how well balanced,
right,
but drinkable this is.
It's very easy to drink. Now, I actually, to give another side of the fence on this one too, being it's 10.5%, this kind of drinks more alcohol-y than 10.5% to me. I'm actually picking up a alcohol note in my mouth and almost
I get a little
bit of hug
burn.
to it.
I do get a little burn. Yeah, it is hot, especially for only 10.5%, which is fairly high to begin with.
Right.
But yeah, it is kind of hot.
Yeah. Like whiskey heat kind of feel to it, actually. Which is really interesting.
I don't feel like that's distracting, though. Do you feel like it's distracting for your palate?
No, it's just very interesting, and I wanted to, relay it to them, and it's weird from a beer for me. Not in a bad way. It's just because I'm new. Maybe it's because I'm new to this.
Yeah, you haven't experienced
that. But this is, well, I don't think a lot of people have this in general, but it's weird for a beer to transfer over to a whiskey side of things as much as this does,
with the
actually.
Heat, yeah.
Yeah, this is something, not a fast drinker, something you want to kind of sit back, take in all the flavors, maybe take some notes on what you're tasting, because I think this is like another one of those beers that could be like sipping a George tea, and you're like, okay, I'm tasting this now and this, and it kind of
evolves
over time. I think as the temperature changes, you're going to get a lot of different flavors out of this. It's good.
And for those that enjoy cigars, this would be a great cigar pairing. But I wouldn't go dark with it. I'd go not do a Maduro. I'd do a lighter cigar with this.
Not to drown.
Not to drown out, and the heat that you're talking about, I think wouldn't pair with the Maduro.
Okay.
So, there we go.
That's it, man. This is an excellent show.
That is awesome.
Very
thank you, Richard, and thank you, Eric,
yes,
for the
thank
donations.
you guys. Appreciate it.
Let's figure out thumbs up, thumbs down. And by the way, during the break, we discovered that this is not actually a porcelain bottle like the older ones. It's glass, and they painted it.
Yes.
So
that's why maybe after the 70s they did that to curb that whole lead thing.
Maybe. So, Jim Beam, what were your final thoughts on this one?
I like it. I was very excited that it wasn't spoiled. That's always a cool thing. And I am going to go with like 1 1/4 thumbs.
1 1/4?
Yeah. Not mind-blowing. It was good. It's drinkable. I mean, if anybody offers me some, I'll drink some. But yeah, I'm going to stick with that.
I'm going to go with 1 thumb up. And I'm going to do a half, 1.5 thumbs, because, the cool factor. That's awesome. And then it's held up, and it's a very unique product, really bumps it up. The flavors were exceptional, and I go a little higher than your 1 1/4 because I think with air, this one's going to get better.
That would be interesting to actually do a short film again after this has been sitting for about a month and just kind of revisit it real quick and let them know how this bottle changes.
Yeah, well, tune into YouTube and we might do that. By the way, you can also hear us on most of the podcasting channels out there as well. The barrel-aged blackout stout from Great Lakes Brewing Company. Thumbs up, thumbs down, final thoughts.
On something like that, how complex it is, I was a little bit off-put by the alcohol feel to it, being that it's a beer. That being said, I'm going to go 1 3/4 on this one.
1 3/4.
Yep.
I'm going to once again 1. Oh man, that's tough. I love Great Lakes. That was a really well-balanced beer, but you're right. The alcohol really lingers in that. And for 10.5%, I know it's barrel aged and everything, so it is going to pick up some heat from the barrel.
Take a little sip of that, just a little quick sip.
Before I give my final thoughts, all right.
I think it's actually going to back up my whiskey taste, the alcohol. It's really starting to shine through.
As this warms, you're right, the alcohol is really coming off. I'm going to go 1.5 on that one. This, if it weren't for that alcohol burn, I would have given that a 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
That being said, 1.5, that's still a damn good beer. Yeah.
Right.
And speaking of damn good things, if you think our show is damn good, be sure to check out our Patreon account and donate if you would so like. We got a lot of bonuses and bonus contents on there for our Patreon subscribers. And there's
also,
another...
links below to hear us on the listening side of things. So if you can't watch it, you need to listen to it and not have it on a TV or a phone. Right down there, guys.
And be sure to check out next week's episode when we have another starter and chaser. But before we go, you were talking about squirrels and hurricanes.
I don't know. What do you think happens with squirrels and hurricanes? Do they just climb up back in the tree, or do they build a ship like an ark? And
maybe they're interdimensional.